When we talk about the twin flame journey, the focus often falls on the emotional upheaval of the divine feminine. Her awakening, her pain, her growth, it's visible, vocal, and widely shared. But behind the curtain of this spiritual connection lies a truth that is often overlooked. The masculine suffers too, and often far more deeply than we realize. Unlike the feminine, the masculine energy is typically conditioned to suppress emotion, avoid vulnerability, and maintain control. As a result, his pain often goes unseen, misinterpreted as indifference, denial, or even rejection. Yet, beneath that exterior is a soul grappling with confusion, fear, longing, and love just as intense as the feminine's. This journey challenges both counterparts in unique ways, but the emotional wounds and silent suffering of the masculine deserve a closer look. In this exploration, we'll uncover how and why the masculine's pain runs deeper than it appears, and why recognizing this is essential for true healing and union. The silent struggle, why the masculine twin often suffers in silence. While the feminine twin is often vocal about her pain, spiritual awakening, and longing, the masculine twin typically withdraws, appearing emotionally distant or detached. But this isn't a sign of indifference. It's a reflection of how he's been taught to cope with emotional overwhelm, by shutting down. From a young age, many masculine energies are conditioned to believe that vulnerability is weakness. Man up, don't cry, be strong. These messages shape how they internalize pain. So when the intensity of the twin flame connection hits, bringing with it mirror-like reflection, deep emotional activation, and spiritual chaos, the masculine often has no emotional framework to process it. His default response? Silence. This silence, however, is not peace. It's suppression. Behind it lies anxiety, confusion, guilt, and a desperate need for clarity. He may feel overwhelmed by the connection, terrified by the depth of feeling, or unsure of how to express his emotions without losing control. Often, he doesn't even understand why he feels what he feels, only that it's too much. This internal battle can be brutal. While the feminine may seek healing, therapy, or spiritual guidance, the masculine may feel isolated, unsupported, and ashamed of his struggle. The world rarely gives him permission to fall apart. Recognizing this silent suffering is crucial, not to excuse harmful behavior, but to build compassion. Because when the masculine twin finally begins to feel safe enough to express his truth, what emerges is not a cold or careless soul, but a deeply wounded one, aching to be understood. The runner's pain, misunderstanding the masculine's role in twin flame dynamics. In the twin flame dynamic, the masculine is often cast as the runner, while the feminine is seen as the chaser. This labeling can create a distorted narrative, one where the runner appears emotionally detached, disinterested, or even heartless. But the truth is far more complex. The masculine doesn't run because he doesn't care. He runs because he cares so deeply that it terrifies him. The connection feels like a mirror reflecting every unresolved wound, every hidden insecurity, and every fear he has long buried beneath the surface. The intensity of the bond often overwhelms him, activating deep emotional triggers: fear of vulnerability, fear of failure, fear of losing himself, and fear of not being enough. Unlike the feminine, who may seek healing and expression, the masculine has often been conditioned to survive by suppressing emotions. He may not even have the language to articulate what he feels, let alone process it with clarity. So he runs, not away from love, but into the illusion of safety. He seeks distance to gain control, hoping that space will quiet the storm within him. This withdrawal is frequently misread by the feminine as rejection, but it is often a desperate attempt by the masculine to regulate emotions he doesn't know how to manage. Ironically, the runner feels just as much pain, if not more, because he's disconnected not only from his counterpart, but also from his own heart. He may lie awake at night, thinking of her. He may check her social media in silence, feel her energy at random times, or cry in moments of solitude, unsure why he feels such a powerful pull towards someone he's pushed away. There's guilt, shame, and a deep sense of inner conflict, wanting to return, but fearing he's already broken something beyond repair. Yet, behind the silence and distance is a man quietly undergoing his own spiritual unraveling. He may not speak of it, but he feels everything. He's awakening not in the light, but in the shadows, stripping away old beliefs, questioning everything he thought love should be, and wrestling with the truth of a connection he can't escape. To understand the masculine's role in this journey is to realize that his running is not rejection. It's a cry for healing, and until he feels safe enough to face himself, he will keep moving. Not because he doesn't feel, but because he feels far more than he can handle. Emotional suppression and spiritual awakening. The masculine's hidden battle. One of the greatest inner conflicts the masculine faces on the twin flame journey is the tension between emotional suppression and spiritual awakening. For most of his life, he's been conditioned to believe that strength means control, stoicism, and emotional restraint. Vulnerability has been treated as a liability, something to avoid, hide, or conquer. So when the twin flame connection arrives, breaking through these walls with soul-deep intensity, it shakes the very foundation of everything he thought he knew about himself. At first, he may try to fight it. He may retreat into logic, into distractions, into other relationships or habits that numb the ache he can't fully name. The world around him might still applaud his composure, his focus, his ability to move on. But the truth is, he's not moving on. He's breaking down in ways no one sees. The connection continues to burn beneath the surface, forcing his wounds to rise. The more he suppresses, the louder his soul becomes, pulling him toward a spiritual awakening he neither asked for nor feels prepared to face. This awakening isn't a sudden epiphany. It's messy. It's painful. It often begins in the quietest moments, when he realizes that the old ways of coping no longer work, when the distractions feel empty, or when memories of the feminine return like waves he can't outrun. Solitude becomes a mirror. Nighttime becomes a battleground. He may find himself staring into the darkness, wondering why he feels so lost despite having everything in control. The pain he's buried for years begins to surface, not just from this lifetime, but from ancestral patterns, karmic cycles, and inner child wounds. The grief is not only about her, it's about him. The parts of himself he has abandoned to survive, the dreams he has silenced, the emotions he has exiled. His heart is awakening, but the process can feel like a spiritual death. He may not know how to talk about it. He may not have the tools to process it. But within him, a deep transformation is underway. What looks like avoidance or detachment on the outside is often a man unraveling on the inside, trying to make sense of the chaos, trying to find a language for feelings he's been taught to ignore. This hidden battle is sacred. It is where the masculine begins to crack open, to soften, and to remember who he truly is beneath the armour. It is where divine masculine energy begins to rise, not as a force of dominance, but as a pillar of truth, love, and spiritual integrity. He begins to learn that vulnerability is not weakness, but the bridge to true strength. His awakening may not be loud or linear, but it is real, and it is through this quiet reckoning that the masculine finally begins to step into alignment with his higher self, not just for union, but for his own soul's liberation. Behind the stoic mask, how the masculine deals with love, loss, and longing. To the outside world, the masculine twin flame often appears calm, composed, even unaffected after separation. He may seem to carry on with life, pursue goals, socialize, or enter other relationships as if the connection meant little. But this outer calm is deeply misleading. Behind the stoic mask is a storm of emotion, grief, confusion, regret, and a longing so intense that even he struggles to understand it. The masculine has been taught to be strong, and in most societies that translates to emotional silence. He's expected to suppress his feelings, to get over it, to perform resilience. So instead of expressing his pain, he internalizes it. He may distract himself with work, status, or even surface-level relationships, trying to convince himself and the world that he's fine. But in the quiet moments, when no one is watching, the truth reveals itself. He remembers her, he feels her, he dreams of her. He may replay memories in his mind, wonder what could have been, or feel the ache of her absence like a wound that never quite heals. He may even try to fill the void she left with other people, only to find that no connection compares. Nothing touches his soul in the way she did. Nothing brings him back to himself like she did. This is where the deepest pain resides, not just in missing her, but in missing who he became when he was with her. She saw him in a way no one else ever did. She reflected his potential, his soul, his truth. And now, in her absence, he's not just mourning the loss of a person. He's mourning the loss of a version of himself he fears he may never find again. But the journey doesn't end here. Over time, the masculine begins to realize that her love wasn't meant to save him. It was meant to awaken him. The pain he tried to avoid becomes his teacher. The longing he suppressed becomes his compass. Slowly, his stoic mask begins to crack, and he allows himself to feel, to heal, and to rise. This is the sacred unraveling of the masculine, not through control, but through surrender, not through hiding, but through honesty. It's in facing his own heart that he begins to return to love, not just with her, but with himself.